everyone. And today we'll talk about our experience in building real-time game analytics for mobile. Let me start with introduction. I already had short introduction, but let me do the part I prepared, actually. So I'm Director of Business Intelligence in Wargaming Mobile. I've been working in gaming industry for 5 years, and before that I did some financial consulting and business evaluation. You all heard about Wargaming, probably. And let me introduce you Wargaming Mobile. Wargaming Mobile is a startup inside Wargaming that's dedicated to mobile games. You all know about our main products. It's World of Tanks Blitz, World of Warships Blitz, Guts and Glory, and many more exciting games to come. We have several offices around the world with operational center here in Berlin and headquarters in Cyprus. It's more than 380 people overall in Wargaming Mobile. And guess how many people is in BI team? It's 3. It's only 3 people. And now I will tell you how to build an amazing real-time analytics platform with just 3 people. So before building any system, we need to identify its main goals or main parts of this system. And the main part of any BI system or any analytical system, of course, it's a data warehouse. Having quick and reliable data warehouse is kind of crucial for any system because you want your queries to work fine and you want everything to be smooth. And you also want your system to scale together with your business because everyone knows these examples when the game was growing just in a couple of days, in several times, and you want your system scales together with you without any cost adjustments or any performance issues. Analytics is the core of any BI system, and easy-to-use analytics will actually help you to drive more people into data, and that will improve your decision-making process at the end. And unfortunately, no one wants to spend all the money on BI. That's why you need a cost control. So while building our BI system, we've run into multiple challenges. And I will not stop on all of them. I will just focus on main. Let's start with data warehouse. So does anyone work actually with data warehouses or with databases? Cool. That's a lot of people. Less than I expected, but so most probably it's some kind of MySQL, I don't know, Microsoft SQL or Postgres databases. Does anyone work with cloud databases? Oh, nice. It's better than the previous one. So there are plenty of types of data warehouses overall, but we can separate them in 2 main parts. It's on-premises data warehouses and cloud data warehouses. And now let's talk about both of them separately. On-premises data warehouses. At the beginning, it's quite easy to implement and to set up everything. You just have this one guy, John, who knows something about data warehouses, and he set up a server in a back room next to the toilet, and everything is fine. All your data is there, and it works. But then one day you have this featuring from Apple and Google, and your user base just increased 50 times overnight. And next day, your John is running around the office on fire, and he is demanding 2 additional guys in his team and taking over half of the kitchen to a new server room. And don't get me started on the same setup in a year when your game will go viral. Let's talk about cloud. With cloud data warehouses, the setup at the beginning is quite the same. You still need this one guy, John, who knows something about cloud and who knows something about the data warehouses. And he can set it up everything for you. And your data will be stored not in the back room in your server, but in the cloud. But when you will have this featuring from Apple and Google and your user base will grow, No one will run around the office on fire. John will just do some adjustments on his laptop, and or the data warehouse will just scale automatically depending on the type he selected. And in a year, when your game will go viral, it's going to be the same. He will do some adjustments, and the database or data warehouse will scale. So at the end of the day, for us, the choice was obvious, and we selected data warehouse that scales automatically, and it's in the cloud. So we have our data warehouse set it up, and but what do we want to store there? What kind of data do we want to collect? And that question brings us to tracking. Tracking is not really popular topic between developers. No one likes it, and everyone puts it to the back part of the development process. And many developers actually use using just third-party tracking solutions, and it's totally fine. At the beginning, you don't need to spend a lot of money. Most of them actually are free at the beginning, and it works. Some of them has dashboards. You can even do some analytics on them just after installing this one SDK for them. But when your game goes live and you have more features into the game, then you have more live operations, and you, of course, have more data. And then your game designer wants to track every single step in those events, and then you will have more data. And all those third-party tracking platforms, of course, have their own limitations. Some of them doesn't provide sufficient amount of accuracy. Some of them are not really good in tracking organic traffic. Some of them doesn't track push notifications. And most of them will dramatically increase prices when your user base will grow to hundreds of thousands of users. So in this case, we decided to use our own tracking on top. And it's totally fine. You can use third-party tracking solutions, and then if you don't have a capacity to load your own tracking to the data warehouse, you can store the data for now in somewhere in the server. And then if you have a capacity, then load the data to the data warehouse. But it's better to have the data. As we all know, there is no such thing as too much data. But if you work in Europe, please think about GDPR as well, if it's relevant to you. So in our case, we use third-party tracking solutions, and we use our own tracking on top. So we track every single step of our users. And so we have all this data from tracking. We have a data warehouse. But how do we want to load the data to our data warehouse? And that brings us to data processing. And as you already guessed, I was able to split it in two different types. I'm good at that. First type is batch data processing. It's actually the classical approach which all developers have always used. It's as easy as it's shown on the picture. So you just take the data and put it to your data warehouse. And you can do it in any way you want. You can ask your guy, John, to load data manually every day if you want so. Or you can write a script which will load the data automatically for him. And but at the end of the day, it's going to be always some kind of delay in data. So the data will arrive in the database with some kind of delays. The second approach is streaming. With streaming, you will have, like it's more difficult to implement, so you will have more problems with implementation of this process. But at the end of the day, you will have all the data immediately available in the data warehouse. So someone purchased something in your game, and then you can see it directly in your data warehouse, and then you can put it on the wall that someone purchased something for $5.99, and everyone will be happy in the office, right? But at the end of the day, it's actually not that important the way how you want to load the data, because you need to think about the system you use. And if for your system batch data processing is fine, then use the batch data processing. So in this case, there is no like real solution or best case. It's just, it should match your system at the end. So we have all the tracking. We'll load this data to our data warehouse. Did we forget something actually to have a perfect BI system? Of course we did. and everyone does. It's reporting. Let's just use Excel. You will not believe me how many times I heard those words. There are plenty of tools on the market right now, and I was able to split them into parts again. First part is out-of-the-box solutions, which comes with third-party tracking. I mentioned that before, so most of them have some dashboards. It's easy to use. You can go just on a web page, do a couple of clicks, and you will see the funnels. You will see some general KPIs and stuff like that. And it works actually more or less fine. They all look good. Until your game designer will come to you and ask for visualization of correlation between your username and his second purchase. And then you're kind of doomed, because with those tools, you will not be able to fulfill his need. So in this case, you would need to use some self-controlled BI solutions. It's usually dedicated visualization platforms. They're super powerful. They will, of course, require some time from you to understand how they work, but they will help you. They will fulfill all your needs. And in the worst case, if one of the tools which are presented there, or any kind of open source tools, will not help you with that, with modern packages for most of the popular programming languages, you will be able to build it by yourself without even knowing some front-end magic or server stuff. Let's call it like that. So in Wargaming Mobile, we use visualization platform Tableau, I can tell you. We use Tableau for standard reporting, and then we use self-developed tool based on Python for real-time analytics. So we discussed all the main parts of the system, and now let's see what do we have at the end. Our data processing system is quite flexible, and it actually can connect to any source we want. It can connect to applications, servers, cloud storages, APIs, you name it. We use third-party tool called Aluma, and we don't need to take care about infrastructure, scale, or hardware, anything. And this is streaming platform based on Kafka and Python. So we can basically control our events on the fly. We can modify them, adjust them, separate them, filter them, and it's all of it with just a couple of lines of Python scripts. We selected as a data storage serverless cloud data warehouse BigQuery from Google. And it scales automatically, and it can store all the data we want without us doing anything to it. And data warehouse is used as a source for reporting and real-time analytics. So that's the setup we have at the end. Looks good, right? Okay. But yeah, our setup is quite flexible. It allows us to integrate new products to it quite easy, or create new reports, or create new, or add new data sources. It's pretty easy and quick. But it doesn't mean that we need to stop to develop or to improve it. So of course, I will not talk about all the improvements we want to make to our system. I will just focus on a couple of them. So currently, when we want to implement new game in our analytical platform, the most time-consuming part is actually tracking integration. For now, developers need to integrate each SDK separately. It's advertising networks, attribution platforms, tracking solution. And it's not only time-consuming, it's also affects the data itself. Due to different SDK specifics, the same event can be triggered in different places, and then at the end, you will have your user attribution data, which doesn't match your own tracking data, or doesn't match your third-party tracking data, and you definitely don't want that. So to fight with that, our engineering team, together with BI team, is working on SDK. It's one SDK to rule them all. It will combine all the platforms and networks. So developers just need to install this one SDK, and everything will be in place. So it will allow us to unify all the tracking between the games and platforms. And it will make the process of adding new games to the system quite easy. And even if we want to add just additional SDKs into it, we just need to improve our parts. Developers doesn't need to do anything. They just need to update this one SDK, and it works fine. Also, together with engineering team, we are working on live segmentation tool. This tool actually will help us to slice and dice our user base in real time and perform some programmatical actions on them based on their behavior. So based on some clicks or user behavior, we will be able to send some personified messages or send individual packages or, I don't know, events, whatever, A/B test, you name it. So that's all I wanted to share about the improvements we had. And let's just focus again on the important parts which I want to share at the end. It's collect all the data. It's really important to have as much data as possible, as you all know this saying that without data, you're just another person with opinion. So you want to have proper amount of data to make a decision about your game. You want to make your game great. Make your data work for you. So just loading the data into your data warehouse doesn't work anymore. And you want to use your data somehow. You need to perform analysis. You can use it for predictive analytics. Use your data and make your data future-proof. It's not actually about making your data future-proof. It's more about making the whole system future-proof. So you want your system to grow together with your business. As we all know, in mobile industry, in gaming industry, there were a lot of cases when the user base or the amount of data was growing incrementally just in a couple of days. And you don't want your report to load for 2 hours just because now you have billions of row in it. You want everything to work smooth. So collect all the data, make your data work for you, and think about future. And let's make great games. Thank you very much for being here.